Hello, and thank you for watching this really fast video that I just was inspired about doing today when I was attending classes throughout our club, and then I had gotten the chance this weekend to teach a class and then take a class somewhere, and it just inspired me to think of one simple thing that I think instructors need to really consider when they think back on their classes. So hopefully as instructors, we are thinking about what had happened in class that we just taught, or maybe that we taught last week, and hopefully we're reflecting on the weekend and we're identifying how the week went as far as teaching classes or subbing classes or even taking classes, what we've learned, what we plan on implementing in our classes in the upcoming week. And one thing that I really want us to consider when we're planning for that week and when we're thinking about our classes, or even just our classes in general, are how we are adding to the experience or making the class memorable. So what I was noticing when I was taking classes this week is I feel like we get all excited and pumped up for this January rush. We're nearing, this video it's February 10th. We're nearing Valentine's Day. People are distracted by that. People are busy. But as instructors, we need to try to make our classes very memorable. And this is the time of year where people may have started their January revolution, and now they're like, this circuit class or this Zumba class or this like boot camp class just really hasn't been a memorable enough experience for me, and they start to fall off that bandwagon. So how can we as instructors make our experience memorable? I don't care if this is a class you just started teaching or if it's a class you've been teaching for a very long time. It's time to reflect on what we bring to the table as instructors. Pretty soon I'm going to do a video about making a class your own and bringing your own authenticity to a class. But this video, I want to focus on what you do to make the class experience memorable. Because let's be honest, people don't come back for just the exercises or the programming. They come back because of how it made them feel and how it made them feel after class and how they feel when they think about it or talk to their friends about it. So here are some examples of what I mean. So when I take an okay class, or I leave going, or all right, that was kind of their energy was kind of it leaves me thinking about all the ways that the instructor or all of us can really make sure the experience was memorable. So I just made this big long list. I'm going to read them off one by one and try to give you examples, but there are so many other ways you can make your class memorable, and I would love to create more interaction in my YouTube channel and for you guys to post and comment what you think and what add to this list. So the beginning of the list, I have personality. What kind of personality do you bring to the table? And I might repeat a few of these because they kind of intertwine in the entertainment aspect. But as far as your personality, are you funny? If you're not funny, don't be funny. Just don't try to be anything else you're not, but bring to what you have to the table. Some people are funny because they have kind of a sarcastic humor. Some people are funny because they have a straight up, jokester humor, knock knock. Bring something memorable and different that only you can provide to the table. So personality is huge. Encouragement. Are you the kind of instructor who gives valid encouragement throughout class? Are you like the cheerleader instructor? Not all of us are those instructors, and that's okay. But do you do that? How is that memorable? How do you make that memorable? How do you make your encouragement different than other instructors that you've seen or heard? Do you smile throughout class? Do you smile at somebody? Do you make eye contact with somebody so they feel the connection without you saying their name, without you saying anything? They feel you seeing them in class. That's memorable. I would say you look at them. Sometimes I'll even be talking to the entire class at the entire room, and I'll point to them and nod or show them that I see that they're doing well. So smile, connection. Motivation. So along with encouragement, how are you motivating them in the class and outside of class? Are you talking about how we can live our best life, or some strategies to improve their sleep, or improve their drinking of water, or improve their steps throughout the day? Are you helping encourage them and motivating them to be better overall? That's memorable. That's something that's going to touch them outside of class that they're going to want to bring to class next time, or bring to other people and tell them, guess what? That strategy I got from my bar instructor. And then participation. How are you participating How are your participants participating in class? So how are you encouraging maybe a call and response throughout class where you shout out, if you're feeling this in your booty, say, uh-huh, and then they have something to say rather than you saying, are you feeling this in your booty? And they're like, what? I don't know why she's saying the word booty, or some people get weird about that. But tell them what to say. Help them remember that experience, and maybe they giggle, maybe they don't say anything, but they think that's funny, that's actually where they're supposed to be feeling it. So how are you getting them to participate in class? How are maybe connection, community, that's actually the next one. How are you helping them participate with one another? How are you getting them to do an exercise together or do something as a team? That's going to be very memorable and part of that great experience. How are you creating that community? So that's an example of that. Getting them to team up, getting them to high five each other, getting them to acknowledge each other. What kind of energy are you bringing to the room? Is it an kind of energy? And the best way to tell that is, again, I will say this almost every video, is to film yourself. Sometimes these videos, when I just see myself talking, help me realize that I look like I don't care. Or there are times where I feel like I'm giving all this energy and I look like I'm super bored or my eyes are half closed. So watch yourself teach. See yourself teach. Be around energetic people. Are you big? Are you showing yourself as a big, important leader of the class? Or are you kind of quiet and small in your moves, or you're barely moving very forcefully, and that makes your participants in the same respect? Like if you're doing something kind of like demonstrating it kind of with less energy, they're going to give you less energy. So show them, point with and count and work the whole room. So energy, what kind of energy are you bringing? Along with movement. Are your movements as the instructor very sharp, very concise, very strong, very energetic? Your movements need to be perfect. The way you lunge, the way you squat, the way you deadlift need to be perfect. They need to be what's perfect for you. So there may be certain things that maybe a participant is better than you at, then use them as a model. But make sure your class is seeing visually what they need to be doing well. So how are you moving as an instructor? Creativity and choreography, people are going to remember that. They are. So I think that's important. Being creative, being unique, providing them with different movements and different dance moves if you're a dance instructor. Maybe different ways of turning on the mat if you're a yoga instructor, doing some different drills in cycling. Creativity is going to help bring them back, but it's not one of the only things. So I think some instructors get so focused on, I came up with all these different exercises, but they don't think about how they're motivating their class, what kind of energy they're bringing, what kind of connection they've made. Those are all really important, but that choreography and creativity does obviously play a part in remembering the class. Next on my list is flow. Does the class flow well? Does it feel like it's a story? Like they started with a nice warm-up. They felt great because their warm-up was so good it prepared them for the class. They didn't at one point ever feel like, wait, we're going down to the ground? Wait, we have to stand up again? Wait, we have to turn this way? Wait, why do we have to grab this piece of equipment? Why didn't we grab it at the beginning? That flow is going to help them remember. What's weird is they won't be able to explain it as participants, but it will change their lives as participants as far as taking your class, because they'll be like, wow, that was the best class ever. It went by so fast, but they won't quite know how to explain that. So that's huge. Other thing I want to talk about as far as flow is how are you still continuing that flow throughout class, but also giving them corrections and your attention to detail. So again, you don't have to do all of these things. You should hopefully have an element of all of these things in your class, but you don't have to make one of them really stand out. But a lot of you should have a lot of these in your class. But some of you might be like, you know what, I could really amp up my personality. I could really amp up this. Maybe you're that instructor who doesn't have the crazy cheerleader voice, who's not a dance instructor, who decides to mostly teach more kind of logistically. That's fine. Some participants totally love that. We work at our club with a lot of people who are in the tech industry, and they love like the charting and the logistics and the very straightforward stuff. They don't like the fancy schmancy stuff. So maybe you're that instructor who's really detail oriented, where you really help them feel things. You continue the flow, but you also really help them tune into what they're feeling. So that makes you unique. That makes you memorable. That's a memorable experience. It might not be for everybody, but super memorable. Maybe you're the person who gives great corrections. You're the one going around the room to each participant. You're giving them one-on-one attention as much as possible. Maybe you're that fun, total opposite of the spectrum, fun, silly dancing instructor. Maybe you teach half your cycling on the bike, and then you get off the bike, they're still pedaling, and you're moving around the room, you're twerking around the room, you're making all that energy, you're coming around the room. Not everybody's like that. I do encourage every cycling instructor to get off the bike because it's very important to show your presence in the room that way. But do you have to dance or force yourself to do that? No, but some instructors do, and it really adds to that memorable experience. So I encourage you to think about that. Maybe that's something that sounds fun to you that you want to try to bring to your class. Just have fun with it. Again, also making it memorable. Some instructors are very good at adding kind of a mind-body element to their class throughout class. So along with like talking about what other things members or participants should be thinking about outside of class, maybe while they're in class, you bring their attention more to what they're actually doing. I've heard cues said in various different ways of, focus on what you're doing, or muscle over momentum, helping them really understand that this moment is more than just movement. It's them getting in tune with their body. It's them getting a break from the day, letting someone else teach them and tell them what to do. There's a lot that goes in, as we know, mentally, physically, that happens with fitness. So help them understand that and understand the importance of just taking it in, taking in the fitness experience. So some instructors do an amazing job of bringing that in, bringing in life lessons even, of like, when's the last, your legs are really tired right now. Well, when's the last time you tried to give up on something outside of the class, and you overcame it, really kind of without pain, push through this strength set. You've got this kind of thing. So you don't have to be screamer, yeller, crazy person to make that effect on people. So mind, body, kind of lesson-based instructor. Again, humor. Are you funny? Do you try to be funny? Even if you try to be funny, sometimes you're not so funny, but some people will think you're funny. So good things to work on to try to make yourself different. Knowledge and education. So are you the kind of instructor who loves to educate your participants on, like I said, things outside of class, or, things that you're reading, things that you're doing, a conference you just went to, webinar you just visited? Just share with your participants what you're learning and what you're identifying, what you read in a periodical of some kind, or a magazine, or a journal. Talk to your students about that, and then they're going to really remember, wow, that instructor is knowledgeable. And then finally, connection. So how did you create a connection with them? How did they create connections with each other? Those are super memorable. So make your class memorable. I hope all of these things sink in, or at least one of them, like, is something you want to really work on in your classes. I'll just run through the list really fast just to recap. I have personality overall. Just how is your personality memorable? How is your encouragement memorable? How is your smile and your face and your just overall vibe and energy memorable? How is your motivation memorable? How is your participation memorable? How are you getting the participants to participate in class and to talk in class and to be engaged? How is your community memorable? How is the energy of your room memorable? How is the movement you choose and the choreography and the creativity you bring to your students memorable and different? How is the flow memorable? How are the corrections and attention to detail that you bring to class as a knowledgeable fitness professional memorable? How is the fun dancing, if you have that side of you, memorable? How, if that song comes on and you just can't help it, and you do a little drum solo or guitar solo, do something fun. How are you bringing in the mind-body connection? How are you making that memorable? If you're funny and you want to try and show that off without being inappropriate, bring that to the table. It's memorable. How is your knowledge and education that you're bringing to the table to your students, and you're working to strive to be educated every day on, memorable? And then overall connection and just overall effort to make your class the best it can be every time. So I hope you can reflect on these things, and maybe you'll have more. Again, share in the comments and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to keep working on at least weekly videos. I'm taking off tomorrow to a Les Mills kind of membership leadership conference in Woodlands, Texas. Can't wait to do that. I'm going to try and do a quick video on that and just kind of recap how it went and what I learned. And tonight I'm even going to share with you guys some packing strategies when you go to a conference. So again, I hope this was helpful. Subscribe, comment, and I'll see you around. See you later.